Darren Dee O'Neall's story is a grim narrative of a violent serial predator whose criminal activities spanned multiple states in the U.S. during the 1980s. His crimes, characterized by a series of assaults, abductions, and murders, left a trail of fear and tragedy across the Pacific Northwest, while his ability to change identities and appearances frustrated law enforcement for years. Darren Dee O'Neall was born on February 26, 1960, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, into a military family. His father's career in the Army meant that the family frequently relocated. O'Neall's early years were reportedly turbulent, marked by instability and a lack of direction. He graduated from high school, but soon began showing signs of deviant behavior. He married his high school sweetheart, June, and had a son, but the relationship did not last long, contributing to his downward spiral. O'Neall's criminal activities began to escalate in the mid-1980s. He first came to the attention of law enforcement with a series of minor offenses, but his actions quickly grew more sinister. By 1987, he was implicated in the disappearance and presumed murders of several women in Washington state. His modus operandi often involved befriending or dating his victims before turning violent. One of his earliest known victims was Robin Smith, a woman from Washington state, who went missing in 1987. Although investigators found traces of blood and bone chips that suggested foul play, they lacked conclusive evidence to charge O'Neall with her murder due to the absence of a body. The uncertainty surrounding her fate left the case in limbo for some time. The case of Wendy Orr was another pivotal moment in O'Neall's criminal history. Orr, a 28-year-old single mother, went missing on April 24, 1987, after going on a date with a man who introduced himself as Michael Johnson. When she failed to pick up her daughter the next day, her mother discovered bloodstains in her bed and called the police. Investigators later found that O'Neall had been using the alias and was seen driving Wendy's red Ford Torino. Her vehicle was eventually located abandoned in Oregon, where fingerprints linked it to O'Neall, though her body was never recovered. By the time authorities had identified O'Neall as the prime suspect in these disappearances, he had already fled. His ability to assume new identities, using various names and altering his appearance, allowed him to escape capture for months. This made him a moving target, complicating the efforts of local police and the FBI, who had joined the search by this time. The FBI charged him with unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, setting off a multi-state manhunt. The search for O'Neall became a high-profile pursuit. His image was broadcast across the media in the Pacific Northwest, warning people about his potential danger. Tips poured in, with one coming from a truck driver who claimed to have given him a ride. Despite these leads, O'Neall remained elusive, slipping through the cracks by hiding in transient communities like homeless shelters and bus stations. The turning point came later in 1987, when law enforcement finally managed to track him down through a series of investigative breakthroughs. After his arrest, authorities were able to connect him to multiple crimes across different states, though the full extent of his violence remained difficult to ascertain due to the lack of physical evidence like bodies in some cases. O'Neall was eventually convicted on charges related to the assault and kidnapping of a victim in Oregon. While he faced justice for some of his crimes, the absence of concrete evidence in other cases meant that families of several missing women did not receive the closure they sought. His story remains a chilling reminder of the challenges that law enforcement can face when dealing with a highly mobile and manipulative serial offender. Darren Dee O'Neall's story is emblematic of the fears surrounding serial predators in the 1980s, a time when interstate communication between police departments was not as streamlined as it is today. His ability to evade capture for so long highlighted vulnerabilities in the criminal justice system, especially regarding how easily one could disappear into America's transient communities. The enduring mysteries around his victims, like Wendy Orr and Robin Smith, serve as tragic reminders of the lives he affected during his violent spree.